Yay. All right. Hi, and welcome to EdCamp Home 3.0 Session 2. This is a session on digital citizenship education. And right now there's two of us in here, and 3 or 4 more were invited, so we'll see if they're able to hook up with us. I'll be checking that periodically, so if it looks like I'm spacing out, that's just because I'm checking the spreadsheet to see if I need to invite anybody else in. Also, we have, if you're viewing this, there is a Q&A session that I enabled. So if you click on Q&A, you can see the question bar on the right. And if you have questions and you're viewing, and I see we do have a viewer, at least one already, ask us questions, and we'd love to participate with you. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ray Fearing. I'm an educational technology coordinator. I taught high school science for about 12, 13 years before I moved to the district office, and now I work with all the teachers and helping them integrate technology. So I'm excited to be here. And Kaylin, let's hear a little bit about you.
Yes, I'm Kaylin. I teach high school and a little bit of junior high social studies at a small Christian school in Seattle. And I'm currently in grad school at Boise State studying for my master's in ed tech, kind of hoping to do what you do eventually, perhaps, but just very interested in the idea of digital citizenship education.
Awesome. I got my master's from Oregon State online, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic program, and I've seen other programs, and they were not fantastic, and I was very lucky to get into a really good all online program. So good luck with your master's.
Yeah, and so far Boise State has been really good.
Good.
It's my first semester at it, so.
So do you teach digital citizenship in your high school?
Well, I'd say it's integrated, right? We don't have a formal program, we don't have a formal curriculum, but it's something that's really important to me as a teacher who loves technology and loves to incorporate it. You know, I have a lot of concern, and I know my administrator has a lot of concern about the safety of students and the maturity of students and using technology well. So I'm more concerned about how I can incorporate it, because there isn't, you know, we're a small private school, so there's not really a computer teacher, there's not a tech specialist, so it's up to each teacher.
Right. Well, I actually think that's the best way to teach digital citizenship, because if the teachers don't know it, how can they model it and teach it during the year? Just teaching it to the kids, I think, is the wrong way to go about it, but it's what we default to, because you have a computer teacher and the kids run through that class. You want them to teach those kids digital citizenship, but I think it's just as important for the teachers to get it. And so that's something I'm really struggling with, is how can I make sure that all the teachers I work with have gone through the lessons as well and understand it as well, because we have to. And as a high school teacher, you know, social media runs the school.
Yeah.
They, whether you allow it or not, they're on it, and teachers have to understand it and be able to help guide kids, because they don't understand about their digital footprint or the digital tattoo. And so we're using Common Sense Media, their digital citizenship program, which is all online and free. And it's pretty good. I've taught lessons myself last year in several classrooms, and the teachers loved it. Students responded to it, and it's really good. I was teaching one lesson outside. There's outside activities that we do as well. We were doing a lesson called Rings of Responsibility. Students were standing in different rings. I was giving them scenarios online. They had to move to what ring that affected you, community, or I forget what the other ring was, but different ways it affected you as an individual. And the principal walked by, and when I was done, he said, "Can you teach that in every class?" He's like, "That was awesome." I'm like, yeah, we all need this information. So that's really what we're looking at now, is we've adopted the curriculum, and how can we make sure it gets taught to all kids. And then I'm also thinking, how can we make sure teachers get it too, because they want the information as well.
Yeah, I feel like the main roadblock, or it's hard to find time and incorporate it. But then I want to blog in the classroom. I want students to blog. I'd love to bring in Twitter, but I run into my administrator's concern. He always thinks of the worst case scenario. And so I don't really know how to get around that or how to work with that.
Well, addressing possible negative issues through a digital citizenship program is probably a great way to, allay those fears. So the principal, which is very valid. I mean, things can get out of hand if kids don't know, but I think there's so many good models out there about how to handle those situations. And I believe personally that 99% of the kids will behave appropriately. It's the one or two situations that come up, and I believe you just deal with them. And you talk about them and say, tell everybody, let everybody know what happened and what's appropriate, what's not. And, most of the kids will do it right, behave right, and get so much out of it that to me it's not worth it to ban it so that nobody gets it because one or two kids might act up. And you're always going to have one or two act up. And I say just, expect it, deal with it, have a protocol for how to deal with that when that happens, and it won't take over the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we have a great opportunity. We have kids preschool through 12th grade in our system, so we have the opportunity to incorporate lessons very early on. But, I guess, I'm happy to help teachers, or I can point them to common sense media and hopefully hopefully they'll incorporate it into their lessons.
Yeah. So the trick would be how to get it in there in everybody's lessons.
Right.
So they're all having the common language, because I think that really helps too. If all the kids are familiar with terms and can talk about it in their classes, then there can be some teaching about it. One time I heard the example that we teach our kids to drive, right? We have school, they have to take a class, they have to do behind the wheel training, and then we let them drive. But on the internet, which is a huge information superhighway, we just let them go. And parents don't always know. I talk to parents all the time who are even teachers, and I say, do you ever take your kid's phone, your 15-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 12-year-old, and look at their social media accounts? Do you have the right to go pick it up any time and see what they're doing? And they're like, no, I haven't done that. I'm like, oh, absolutely, you can do that. They should share, and that should be open with you. It shouldn't be a hidden private thing. And so I think parents also need to know the rules of the road, so to speak, so that they can navigate it as well. So I just think that kids are on social media, they're on the internet, they are looking up resources, doing research papers, and unless they know the rules of those roads, they're going to get lost out there and have infractions, right? Make little fender benders and things if we don't teach them the right way to handle things out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that the important thing is to, if they're going to fail now, have them fail now where it's a somewhat safe environment, or, we can help them pick up the pieces as opposed to later on where they don't have a support system.
That's a great point. You're absolutely right. If they're going to make a mistake, now's the time to do it, when they have adults around them that can help them with that.
Yeah, and that's one thing with blogging. One of the reasons I want to do it is because I'm seeing so much discussion boards and blogging in my teacher ed in my grad school classes, and it seems like that's in a lot of college classes now, and you don't want them to make this mistake of criticizing or insulting somebody in that college course or in another forum. I guess if they're going to do it, I don't know, I
think you're right, and learning how to comment. If you haven't looked her up already, Linda Yawlis has an awesome, do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Linda Yawlis, I'll put it here in our chat in here so you can see it, but she is awesome and has tons of resources on how to do blogging in your class. And I refer to her page all the time. She has a page for teachers where she talks about stuff, and even her kids made videos about how to comment and how to blog, and she's got elementary students.
Oh, wow.
And it's a great, great, great resource. So shout out to Linda Yawlis. Yeah. And she's awesome. So I'll put that in the chat. And then I also wanted to ask, there you go, I just put the link. Did you see the chat over there? The other thing I wanted to ask is, when is the best time to do digital citizenship? We are pacing for that. And, you know, a lot of them want to do it at the beginning of the year because you want them to learn all those things. But I'm wondering if that's the best practice, or should we be really spread it out all year? Or do you teach some basics in the beginning and then retouch on them during the year? But, you know, how do you decide when to put that lesson in? You know, or is the best thing to just let teachers have the lessons and then find when it naturally fits in to go grab one? But I'm trying to make it so that I'm sure all kids get a certain level of digital citizenship education, you know, as they move grade to grade. So what are your thoughts about when to teach it and how to do that?
Yeah. Well, one of my thoughts, I know at the elementary level, they teach a lot about communities in social studies. And so maybe that's a natural fit, or maybe if they're talking about technology, maybe they can couple the idea of community with the digital community, the internet community, and being smart about what to do there. So I guess where it fits naturally along with their curriculum of just real life stuff. And then to go with that, I think where it naturally, like you said, instead of having a special digital citizenship course, well, when I'm going to have them start a blog, that's maybe when we talk specifically about guidelines for blogging, because if they're not using it and not putting it in practice, it's not as relevant to them.
Right.
What would you say?
Yeah, I agree, because the best thing is when I go to do a research paper in a science class, and that's when we're going to talk about how to cite resources and to teach about that. But then I wonder how you make sure that every third grader, you know, gets that, because if only some teachers do it, because other ones never really address it, or they don't really teach that unit. I mean, is it only the kids that go through your class that are going to learn how to blog?
Right.
You know, so that's what I struggle with, is how do you make sure they all get a baseline?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. I definitely don't think district-wide. I think small, school-wide, and even then, yeah, each teacher is gonna do it their own way, or maybe not do it at all, and that's the difficult thing. Yeah, and I'm imagining, or how do you talk about it with parents? Do you set up a separate parent night or a parent newsletter or something like that?
Yeah, we are this year. We haven't done a lot of parent education last year, and we're definitely going to do it this year. We had an incident with an app called Whisper. Have you heard of the Whisper app?
I think I vaguely heard about it, yes.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's anonymous posting, and so somebody posted something that could have been threatening for students at our schools, and so there was a huge issue about, you know, how do we deal with the threatening post, even if we don't know who it's from, or whether it's serious or not. And so anyway, it brought up a bunch of issues, but it really brought to light the need to hold parent nights. So I'm planning to do probably at least 2 a year, maybe one in spring, one in fall, maybe more, where we bring the parents in and put them through some of the lessons, give them some tools to work with their kids. And I think the parents are willing in our area to come in and learn about social media. And then I'd also like to find some way to collect parent emails or parent phone numbers and send them informational texts or Facebook posts or something, so the parents who aren't going to be able to come in, we can still get that information to them that they can review on their own. So I'm looking at ways to connect with parents digitally, and then also hold some live face-to-face sessions for parents that really want a detailed, in-depth, you know, view of what we're teaching kids, what should we teach kids, what issues are there. Because like I said, some parents, you know, they're like, well, I don't even know what sites they're on. What is the popular site, you know, and so I think it's helpful for them to have somebody help them with that.
Yeah, well, and I know my principal, when he does get wind of certain apps, which I think the Whisper, when he got wind of that, and he sent out an email to all the high school teachers, but I could see how you, like, if something like that comes up, or just an app that's got some interesting features that just to be aware of, to send out a message to parents, like, just be aware, maybe ask your kid if they're on it, because they can't keep up. I consider myself techie and somewhat young, and I don't know what half of the sites that they're on do. I might know that they're on them, but I don't necessarily know what they do. So I'm sure parents have no clue either.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep up, and so I think parent education has to go with the digital citizenship curriculum.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I think teachers need it too. I learned so much from delivering lessons from Common Sense Media, which is, as I said, the one we're using, and I'm learning a ton. It helps me put correct terminology to things and understand how things work and be able to communicate with students better. It really breaks things down, and so I think a curriculum that you adopt is a great way to help us make sense of it, because it's a massive thing, teaching kids how to be safe and responsible online. And I know there's several programs out there. I'm using the Common Sense Media. I'm a Common Sense Media certified educator too, and so I'm partial to that, but there's other programs out there. And I think finding something like that where they have best practices, they have information and resources for parents, for administrators, for training teachers. They have all this. So taking something like that to your principal might also be a way to start to broach the subject of doing something school-wide.
Yeah, and I think YouTube also has a series of lessons and videos to go along with it. I think I tried some of those in a junior high explorations course that we had a few years ago. So,
yeah.
Well, the time is, I don't know exactly how on schedule we are.
Oh, that's right. We started a little late, but we are over time now.
Yes.
I'm going to share one more link before I go off.
Great.
In the side panel. I did a Google Doc of digital citizenship online resources.
Oh, great.
This is a doc that anybody can edit, and people have been adding what they use in their schools. So it's a huge list of what's available and what it does. And so let me put that in the chat also, and I think it will be visible to others. But that's also a resource if you want to see what's out there and what would work for you, or for anybody watching this in fact also. So I'll put that in there. But thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, it was nice chatting. Thanks for moderating.
Yeah, no problem. This was fun.
Yes.
EdCamp Home Rocks. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.